commercials on YouTube. We'll get right back to that update. 1 second here. Okay, and then that ends up repeating that update. Shout out to ET Now for that compilation video. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Relief Valve podcast. It is Monday, September 23rd. I hate Mondays. I didn't get to do the show yesterday because of, family stuff always gets in the way. So this is kind of the shitbag roundup, and there's a lot of news to get to. So I wanted to start with the Israeli situation. So Israel unleashes fury on Hezbollah, a new round of strikes. Israel hit nearly 300 Hezbollah targets, including thousands of launcher barrels that were about to fire rockets at Israel. If anyone that's on X and you've seen some of the videos of that huge bomb going off and then people going, oh, was that a tactical nuke and all that? It was Israel hitting a Hezbollah weapon supply depot. So that's the explosion that you're seeing on on X. I can try and bring that up later because I had X up for some other stuff involving the Diddys situation. But the Israeli Defense Forces unleashed a new round of attacks against Iranian-backed Hezbollah terrorists in southern Lebanon on Saturday, conducting airstrikes that resulted in powerful explosions ripping through the night sky. The IDF completed an additional series of strikes in southern Lebanon since the afternoon. With the direction of the IDF Intelligence Directorate, the IAF struck approximately 290 targets, including thousands of launcher barrels, alongside additional terrorist infrastructure in multiple areas in southern Lebanon, the IDF said. The IDF will continue operating to dismantle and degrade Hezbollah's capabilities and terrorist infrastructure, the statement added. Images and videos from the airstrikes on Saturday included some of this here. There's no sound. This is strike from an airplane or a monitoring device showing the hit. Is this the... That's one of the videos of the huge one, and that was, I believe that that's the Hezbollah weapons depot. That's why it was so big. Let's see this one here. Airstrikes reported in western Bekaa Valley. Yeah, you see this huge explosion. That's a Hezbollah weapons depot going. And everyone online was freaking out. Was this a small tactical nuke? Israel's using nukes. The Israeli military says approximately 180 targets and thousands of launcher barrels were dismantled in Lebanon following the sirens that sounded throughout the past day in the areas of the upper Galilee, Golan Heights, and Safed area. Approximately 90 projectile launches were identified across from Lebanon and Israel territory over the past hour. IAF struck thousands of launcher barrels that were ready for immediate use to fire towards Israeli territory. Additionally, IDF artillery struck a number of areas in South Lebanon. The IDF will continue operating to dismantle and degrade Hezbollah's capabilities and terrorist structure. A squadron of F-16 fighter jets is launching intense and unprecedented airstrikes on various Hezbollah positions in southern Lebanon. That's another view of that explosion at the weapons depot that you're seeing there, and people just posting more videos of all of that. And here's some pictures, a kind of a montage of pictures here from the hits. So, Israel's taken it to Hezbollah, and if Lebanon cared about it, then they should have gotten rid of Hezbollah instead of allowing them to exist within their borders. So we'll see what it turns into. So Haifa is burning after Hezbollah strikes deep into Israeli as a counterattack in all this. In the overnight and early Sunday morning hours, Hezbollah has apparently retaliated against Israel for this week's series of Beirut attacks, which have left scores of Hezbollah operatives dead. So the series of events was setting off all the beepers, pagers, and walkie-talkies, then Hezbollah firing a slew of missiles into Israel, and then Israel responding again with the video I just showed you of attacks within Lebanon against Hezbollah forces. Hezbollah has launched an attack on targets deep inside Israel and what is likely the longest range strike since the conflict began. Israel's Haifa has been devastated by waves of rockets, and significant damage on the ground has been revealed Sunday, including on Israeli residential neighborhoods. The early Sunday morning hours witnessed Hezbollah launch approximately 150 rockets into northern Israel. The Israeli Defense Forces said that most were intercepted, but videos from Haifa confirmed that, or Haifa, some rockets made it through anti-air defenses, causing devastation on the ground. Here's some of that. All right, sorry, I have to check on something. Okay. Hezbollah issued an official statement as follows: an initial response to the brutal massacre committed by the Israeli enemy in various Lebanese regions on Tuesday and Wednesday, the pager and wireless devices massacre. We bombed the military industry complexes of the Raphael Company, which specializes in electronic means and equipment, located in the Zevulun area north of Haifa, with dozens of Fadi 1, Fadi 2, and Katyusha missiles at 6:30 a.m. in the Sunday morning, September 22nd at 24. Hezbollah continued. Another location, the Ramat David Military Airport, which lies southeast of Haifa, was also hit. The base, which is one of the country's largest, houses Israeli Air Force fighter jets. This retaliation marks significant escalation in terms of the Shia paramilitary group's targeting and range. The attack sowed chaos in Haifa and surrounding towns, resulting in at least one death. Some 85 rockets were launched by Hezbollah from Lebanon at the Haifa area in northern Israel on Sunday morning, following overnight launches at the Jezreel Valley, the terror group's deepest rocket fire into Israel since the beginning of the war in October. A teenager is killed when he crashes his vehicles as sirens sounded in the early hours of the morning, and at least 3 people were injured as a result of the rocket fire. Here's some video here. A settler from Kiryat Belik, north of occupied Haifa, told Zionist newspaper Mariv, "We have never seen anything like this before, not an event in 2006. We all assumed that there would be a response from Hezbollah, but we did not think it would be this strong. Especially when there is the Iron Dome, which is supposed to protect us." Dashcam footage shows Hezbollah rocket impacted in the Haifa suburb of Kiryat Belik this morning. 3 Israeli settlers were injured. So that's the explosion, almost like somebody's a car's camera, or even a ring type of ring camera. So the report suggesting coordination with Iran-linked Iraqi paramilitaries as well. According to the Associated Press, one rocket caused damage near a residential building in Kiryat, a city near Haifa. Emergency medical services announced that one man was lightly wounded by shrapnel from a missile. According to Reuters, the Times Israel reported two further injuries. Around the same time, Israeli air defenses intercepted 2 cruise missiles and 2 drones fired from Iraq, none of which hit Israeli territory, the military claimed via the Times of Israel. Israeli authorities have ordered the closure of all schools and banned public gatherings across the north, where at least 80,000 citizens have remained in a permanent state of evacuation going back to last October. Let's see, we've got a... So this is among the harrowing videos to appear online is one showing a direct Hezbollah missile strike on a home in Haifa. An elderly lady says it's a miracle she escaped the attack unharmed. A Haifa woman whose home sustained a direct hit in a Hezbollah rocket attack early this morning says she hates to think what might have happened if she wasn't able to take cover in her safe room during the impact. It's a miracle, Zaheva Sofer tells Channel 12. Sofer says she could hear loud explosions from inside the safe room in her home in Kiryat, a suburb of the northern coastal city, and that she stayed put until rescue workers arrived to extract her. Everything in the 2 upstairs rooms was burned, she said. The rest of the house, I'm not sure. I haven't checked yet. Below is the direct missile strike on Israel residential building in the port city of Haifa. Here it is. The aftermath. So that was a strike in the residential neighborhood. She expressed frustration that the fighting on the border has persisted for nearly a year. "We can't live like this anymore. It's enough. It's just lucky I didn't have small children at home," she told Israeli media. The IDF said it has ramped up offensive operations against Hezbollah in southern Lebanon in order to restore safety to northern Israel, but it looks like there will be a long war ahead. And this is definitely escalating now with all of this action that's taking place. So, Hezbollah and Israel going at it full tilt, and Hezbollah has more available forces than Hamas does. So I don't know what's left of Hamas and how they're going to factor into all of this. Or, right now it seems like Israel is head to head with Hezbollah right now, and we'll see how it branches off. Iraq, it is stated in there that Iraq was getting involved, and who knows what Hamas will try and do in the meantime. So Israel's got a war on several fronts at this point, and I understand why they're doing it. They're tired of this. They're tired of living in fear and being attacked all the time by terrorists and animals, and they're striking back. But let's hope that they haven't bitten off more than they can chew in that situation. So coming back to the home front here, we have breaking news with the Trump assassination suspect wrote a chilling letter that's been released by the FBI at this point, months before the golf course plot. "I failed you," Ryan Ruth said, and he called on others to make attempts on Trump's life. The Justice Department released a chilling letter written by would-be assassin Ryan Wesley Ruth on Monday. The DOJ obtained the letter from a witness who says they received it inside a box delivered to them by Ruth several months prior to the assassination attempt. Authorities say the witness opened the box only after hearing Ruth was suspected in the attack. The box contained several handwritten letters as well as ammunition. Among other things, one of the letters addressed "Dear World" discussed the assassination attempt. "This was an assassination attempt on Donald Trump, but I failed you. I tried my best and gave it all the gumption I could muster. It's up to you now to finish the job. I will offer $150,000 to whomever can complete the job," Roth wrote. Here is the letter here. They've taken a picture and they put that out online. "Everyone across the globe, from the youngest to the oldest, know that Trump is unfit to be anything, much less a U.S. president. No, we don't know that. You're just a traitor piece of fucking shit." But the letter continues, "U.S. presidents must at bare minimum embody the moral fabric that is America and be kind, caring, and selfless, and always stand for humanity. Trump fails to understand any of that." Investigators say they also found a book Roth had authored in 2023 titled "Ukraine's Unwinnable War." This dumb fuck wrote a book? "The Fatal Flaw." Any asshole can write a book nowadays, I guess. "The Fatal Flaw of Democracy, World Abandonment and the Global Citizen, Taiwan, Afghanistan, North Korea, World War III, and the End of Humanity." Geez, you got a long enough title, asshole. Here's the gun that he used. They have that on display as well. The book also discusses a Trump assassination, this time encouraging Iran to carry it out. In the book, Roth stated that he must take part of the blame for the person that we elected for our next president that ended up being brainless. "But I am man enough to say that I misjudged and made a terrible mistake in Iran. I apologize." So he's apologizing to a terrorist state, just in case you weren't sure that this guy was out of his fucking mind. "You are free to assassinate Trump as well as me for that error in judgment and the dismantling of the deal," DOJ documents say. Ruth has been charged federally with possessing a gun with a scratched out number and with possessing a gun illegally as a felon, though more serious charges are likely pending. He will appear before a federal judge today. I'm assuming that means Monday, today, for a detention hearing. Ruth will likely face additional charges in the coming days, which could include aggravated assault for allegedly pointing the rifle at a Secret Service agent and making threats against former president. State Attorney Dave Ehrenberg told Fox News Digital. Governor Ron DeSantis said in a press conference Tuesday that Florida will pursue more charges against Ruth and that his offenses should merit life in prison. So, this guy is a left-wing, anti-American piece of shit. I did a show already on him where he spent his time in Ukraine trying to recruit fighters to fight back against Russia. This is just a scumbag who pretends he likes his country. He doesn't. He was all about sucking Ukraine's dick. And then when he was a failure over there, he came back to the United States. He lived in Hawaii and then came back to the continental in the United States in order to do this assassination attempt. So, there's a lot of questions that are there. Like, was he indoctrinated by Ukraine? Was this a hit set up by Ukraine? How did he get from Hawaii to the continental states and find a way to get his hands on a weapon? Because he didn't travel with it from Hawaii to the continental. So Where did he get the weapon? How did he get the weapon? How was he able to sit there for 12 hours and not be found out by anyone? Only at the last minute when a Secret Service agent saw the muzzle sticking out and while he's waiting for Trump at the fifth hole. So this guy's a mentally ill left-wing piece of shit, anti-American traitor. And we just need the information to come out about, who he was working with, how he was able to put all this together. I said this already previously. Trump has been lucky. So there are so many factors that are working against him. First, he's got the FBI, the upper echelons of the FBI that's working against him, that wants him out of the way. Then you've got the corrupt and inept Secret Service, where the upper echelons of that are absolutely failing at doing their job and giving him adequate protection. And then you have the two leftist moron shooters that have had perfect opportunities to kill him, and they absolutely failed. And here's my concern here. If they find some moron leftist or some half of a professional person that is actually competent enough to get something done, he may not survive the next attempt. And this is my biggest concern. All of these have happened, and they seem to be getting closer and closer. And I know Trump is wants to be a tough guy, and he wants to show that he's not scared, but stronger precautions need to be taken. Even if it's the American people themselves that are stepping up and watching his back to the best of our ability, that's something that needs to be done. He needs much, much better protection than what he's getting. They want to eliminate him, and they want to put Comrade Kamala in office and just finish off destroying the United States. Dementia Joe has been doing a pretty good job of that for the past 4 years, breaking this country down and breaking down all of its fundamentals and just destroying it. And Comrade Kamala is going to finish that off, and we're going to be the Soviet United States by the time all these shitbags are done. This is what the globalists want. So this one nation shit. We all have the same TV. We all have the same car. We all have the same house. And all of those shitbags will be living at the upper echelons of the pyramid, living like rock stars while we all stand in a bread line or something. So I'm hoping that, I agree with Dan Bongino. There are going to be other attempts, and something decisive needs to be done for Trump. And Trump needs to listen to the people that are out there, myself and Dan Bongino and others that are saying there are steps that need to be taken here. There's things that you and your team need to do that, specifically their team needs to step up in order to make sure Trump's safe. And they need to heed all that, and they need to do it. So going back to, excuse me, going back to the Teamsters poll here that was taken. I'm a Teamster. I voted in this online. Of course, I voted for Trump. I'm vocal about that. But the Teamsters leadership was scorched for refusing to endorse presidential candidate despite members supporting Trump. The Teamsters Union has normally endorsed the Democratic candidate for president since 1992. The International Brotherhood of Teamsters was ridiculed on social media Wednesday after announcing it would not be endorsing a presidential candidate, despite a majority of the union membership supporting former President Trump. Teamsters on Wednesday posted the results of the internal polling on the 2024 candidates, showing that the union members favor Trump 59.6% over Democratic nominee Vice President Kamala Harris, who only received 34% in an online survey. In a phone survey, Teamsters favored Trump over Harris 58-31. Still, the union declined to endorse a 2024 presidential candidate for the first time in 3 decades, saying in a statement the union's extensive member polling showed no majority support for Vice President Harris and no universal support among the membership for President Trump. So this is our general president. This is Sean O'Brien right here. He's a former Hoffa lackey, just to give you some inside baseball on the Teamsters. He was part of Hoffa's team until they turned on him through some kind of internal arguing and kicked him out of the Cool Kids Club. So he was president of Local 25 in Boston. And then after he got kicked out of the Cool Kids Club and Hoffa announced that he was stepping down, he wasn't going to run anymore, Sean O'Brien decided to step up and run for office. And basically or I don't remember. Was Hoffa running again? I can't remember. Either Hoffa was stepping down or he was running against him. But he wanted to get his revenge and get in office over the slight that he got from the Hoffa campaign, and he got in. And really, the guy's just a shitbag. We had voted to strike if we didn't get the what we wanted in the contract, and many of us voted in favor of having that option, and he was aware of that, and we met the criteria for it when the company was playing hardball, and instead of using it, he didn't. He strung us along and bullshitted about what of a tough guy he was, and then screwed us at the last minute, and we didn't strike, and then we got the contract that we got rather than really staying strong and going for something better. Now he kind of does something similar here with you've got the Teamsters, you've got all of us outright saying by over 50% that we want Trump, but they don't want to put that out as an official thing, and it's another shitbag move by Sean O'Brien, because he's claiming that he's going to listen to the people in his union. He's going to listen to the members, and he's going to do what they want. And we say, well, we want Trump, and then they say, well, we're just not going to. We're going to stay out of it, and we're not going to endorse anyone. It's a bitch move by another scumbag that runs our union. The decision to sit out this election ignited a fury on social media, with critics slamming union leadership for caving to external pressures while failing to represent their members. With the internal poll numbers below, how could the Teamsters leadership ignore their rank and file members and not support a real Donald Trump? CNN commentator David J. Urban posted on X. And that's correct. Here's a breakdown of all of our numbers here. So, we got all these in the mail. You could scan the barcode, you could call the number, you could go online and put all your picks in, however you felt comfortable doing it. So in the beginning, they were for Biden. I don't know why. Biden was a moron, so I don't know why it was 44 to 36 for Trump. But when it flipped and then Harris was running, the numbers changed dramatically, and it went to like almost 60% to Harris 30%. We've got the Democrats in the union they blindly vote Democrat across the board, thinking that Democrats are pro-union and they're going to help us out, even though Democrats are absolutely destroying this nation and hurting unions in the process. But some of these people just don't get that, and I go back and forth with them at work and in life all the time. Like, how the fuck can you vote a Democrat when they're destroying the nation? It's ridiculous. But no endorsement is ridiculous, he wrote in a follow-up post. Union bosses taking care of their members or themselves, Virginia State Delegate Nick Freitas posted. The LOL, the standards were majority support for Harris or universal support for Trump. Yeah, this was odd too. It was a majority for Harris, or it had to be like fucking 100% of us for Trump, or they weren't going to do anything. Really ridiculous setup for the numbers. So it was real easy to get a 50-60% for Harris and we'd be all good. But 100% of us all had to be on the same side for Trump. So it was a really kind of twisted poll that they did there. But Trump still got a majority, even though he didn't get the universal. So that thing was kind of bullshit. But Trump is so popular, the rank and file, the leadership had no other choice. Former acting director of U.S. National Security, Richard Grenell, commented. So it's at the bare minimum, I can say that at least they decided to endorse no one at all at the bare minimum. I don't like it because the members spoke, but at least saying no one really puts a fire under the Democrats' ass to show that you're so bad, you're even losing the Teamsters. The UAW, the United Auto Workers Union, which is part of ours as well, I believe. It's headed by Sean O'Brien. I don't think they're endorsing Kamala either, because they're upset about their last contract negotiations. You got the rail workers who Joe Biden screwed over. They ended up with a shit contract because he wasn't willing to support them during their strike. So the Democrats are losing a whole bunch of, these when you see the union halls themselves, these presidents and business agents step up and say, those are the suits up there. They're the ones that step up and say, oh, we're supporting Kamala, we're supporting the Democrat. They're just a couple of guys voting. You're talking about the thousands upon thousands of members who are people with families like myself who are voting, and we're going, I fucking say whatever you want. We're not voting Democrat, and we're not voting for Kamala. We're voting for Trump. So let them see that they're losing the unions, and we'll see how it goes for them. So here's another one that union related. There's an upcoming strike, looks like coming here. The dock workers could strike and upend the economy and the election. Biden says he won't step in to block strike as nation's busiest ports prepare for a shutdown. So look for an increase in prices on goods for all of you and myself, all the fellow consumers out there if the dock shut down. A looming dock worker strike could throw the economy and the presidential election into chaos. An October surprise that would likely hurt Democrats. The International Longshoremen's Association, which represents about 85,000 dock workers nationwide, is threatening to strike on October 1st if the union cannot reach an agreement with port ownership. Negotiations broke down in June between the union and the United States Maritime Alliance, which represents port management. The two sides are in a stalemate over both wages and the automation of port operations. A strike would shut down 5 of North America's 10 busiest ports, 36 ports total along the eastern Gulf Coast, and cause massive supply chain issues, which, depending on how long the strike lasts, could impact consumers past Election Day and well into the holiday season. If the supply chain is upended, like this, causing scarcities, we will also likely see another nasty bout of inflation, just as families are trying to recover from the nearly 20% spike in prices since before the pandemic. The Biden administration has the power to stop strikes that could threaten national security or severely impact the economy, but the White House said it will not intervene in a dock worker strike and is encouraging the two sides to get back to the negotiating table. Right, because if he steps in and he says, this is going to hurt the economy too much, you guys can't strike, he's just going to lose more union votes. I mean, they're already in trouble. Never mind if you lose all the dock workers, in addition to all of the UPSers, all of these, the rail workers, all of these other, the UAW, all these other Teamsters. And you're fucking them all over because then in their regular lives, they're trying to take care of their families, and Comrade Kamala and Dementia Joe are screwing the nation, and the prices are all sky high. The global economic turmoil wrought by a strike of this size cannot be understated. The ports that would be affected move nearly half of all U.S. imports and billions of dollars in trade each month. The ripple effects on supply chains in Europe, Asia, and Latin America would also be significant. None of this is likely good for Democrats. Election Day is only 6 weeks away, and Vice President Kamala Harris is locked in a nail-biter of a presidential race against former President Donald Trump. Harris is currently leading by 2 points, a smaller lead than Hillary Clinton had in 2016 before losing to Trump. A strike will begin on October 1st, the day of the vice presidential debate between Tim Walz and Republican Senator J.D. Vance. Even the threat of a strike is causing economic uncertainty at a time when the economy is not exactly the Democrats' strongest issue. About 60% of Americans disapproved of President Biden's handling of the economy in June. Harris is only just starting to catch up to Trump's approval rating on the issue. It's unclear why Biden won't intervene, though some have speculated that the president is unwilling to go out of his way to help Harris after Democrats ousted him from his re-election campaign over the summer. That's possible, too. He's not behind the scenes. From what I'm hearing, he's playing the part with his teeth clenched, but he hates all of them. Nancy Pelosi, Kamala Harris, all of them, Chuck Schumer, all of them for stabbing him in the back. He's a power monger and an egomaniac. He wanted to stay in office and run again, even though his brain is expired oatmeal. But he thinks he had what it took, and they all stabbed him in the back and threw him under the bus. Others have wondered whether Biden is courting the dock worker union at a time when the union vote is not coming easily to Democrats. Last week, a group of House Republicans on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee wrote to President Biden urging his administration to do everything in his power to prevent a strike that could lead to dire impacts to our supply chains, our economy, and the American consumer. So we'll see how that turns out. All right, so getting to the Puff Daddy situation here. This is really turning into something. And one of the reasons I saved one of the other X things is a lot of Diddy's buddies are erasing their entire Twitter histories. Usher only just came back online claiming, my account got hacked and y'all just ran with it. Everyone's like, yeah, dude, you got fucking hacked right after they picked up Diddy and they started picking up all of his tapes and questioning him about what's going on. And you get hacked and only just conveniently came back. And I'm not even sure his entire Twitter thread is there. I never followed the guy, so I don't know what's missing. But I'm willing to bet some Diddy related stuff is missing from his page. In addition, Pink, this is her page right now. You notice this, where there should all be tweets and there should all be information? Blank. This is just people that are either posted on her page or that Pink reposted that and reposted that. They're from 2017 and 2016. That's all that's left on her page right now, these two reposts. The rest of her page is completely wiped clean. The other day when I checked Usher's was identical, wiped clean. These are all buddies of Diddy's. There is all video showing them at their parties. There's some weird video of showing Pink at the Grammys or the VMAs or whatever, like all over Justin Bieber, kissing his neck and grabbing him when they were all on stage going to get an award. So I'm wondering if just the pedophile group and the partiers are all. You can go in and look on this for yourself. This is live. I'm on there right now. There's nothing left on her page. So and that's just three of the people. Cat Turd puts up. Cat Turd put up. It was Usher. It was Pink. And then, who else is coming? And I guarantee there's more. We're just waiting for them. So we've got the top 5 Diddy indictment bombshells. What legal experts predict for the future of the fallen music mogul. As you know, when he was arrested, he was found with 1,000 bottles of baby oil because the allegations are he would hire. There's a lot. He would go to clubs and where there were dancers, erotic, strip joints. And they'd give a signal, whatever the fuck it is, and that would let them know that Diddy was looking to recruit some people for a party, and some of the girls would leave with him and go to his freak out party, his sex party. So in some cases, he'd hire hookers for entertainment for everybody, and they'd hook up with him. In other cases, he'd hire hookers to also, U.S. is sending troops to the Middle East and warns Americans to leave Lebanon. All right, we'll get back to that. I keep getting updates about things going on. And so he would hire hookers, and then he would hire male prostitutes. And then this is one of the allegations and everything that's being brought up in court right now, and that he would watch those two have sex while masturbating himself or whoever else he was with, in addition to allegedly fooling around with other gentlemen and with other alleged allegations that at the time that the parents of Justin Bieber gave him this weird story, which apparently was true. Justin Bieber's parents signed over temporary guardianship to Puff for Bieber to stay with him for like a week or something like that, or a weekend, and just party with him and do whatever. And he was gonna teach him the ropes and make him a superstar and all this. So the parents literally signed over a temporary guardianship thing. I don't know why you need to do that if like your son is going to have a sleepover. Your son wouldn't normally have a sleepover with a 30-year-old man, but in this particular case, the Bieber's parents did that, and then allegedly, there was sexual misconduct with Bieber, whether it was Diddy with Bieber directly or Bieber being involved in other things happening in the house. But there's a lot of talk going around online. Some people are saying it was Diddy diddling Bieber, and then others saying that it was Bieber being exposed to all of this craziness that's going on. So let's get into some of the charges here. Oh, for God's sake, I already joined this fucking thing. Let's see. The allegations against Sean Diddy Combs' decade of rape, days-long freak-offs, prostitution, kidnapping, arson, and bribery. The U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York unsealed the federal indictment against disgraced music mogul Sean Diddy Combs, which alleges more than a decade of abusing, threatening, and coercing women and others, racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice, among the other crimes. Combs, who was arrested on Monday night, was charged on a 3-count indictment with racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York said in a press release. Here is a compilation of the alleged abuse by Combs, who has also been known as Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Diddy, PD, and Love, according to the indictment. Combs abused, threatened, and coerced women and others around him to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. Combs, through his business empire, created a criminal enterprise whose members engage in or tried to engage in sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice, among other crimes. Combs engaged in a persistent and pervasive pattern of abuse towards women and other individuals, which included verbal, emotional, physical, and sexual abuse. Combs manipulated women to participate in highly orchestrated performances of sexual activity with male commercial sex workers. That's what I just brought up. Combs and others acting in his direction arranged for women and sex workers to fly to his location, where he ensured participation from the women by obtaining and distributing narcotics to them, controlling their careers, leveraging his financial support, and threatening to cut off the same, and using intimidation and violence. Combs assaulted women by striking, punching, dragging, throwing objects at, and kicking them, and also engaged in violence against employees, witnesses to his abuse, and others. Combs attempted to bribe a member of hotel security staff who intervened during a 2016 instance to ensure silence. The incident, which was caught on film, showed Combs kicking, dragging, and throwing a vase at a woman, his then-girlfriend Cassie at the time. Combs uses business and employees to carry out, facilitate, and cover up his abuse and commercial sex. In addition to that, Combs led a criminal enterprise called Combs Enterprise, which existed to facilitate his abuse and exploitation of women, to protect his reputation, and to conceal his conduct, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York alleges. As part of the criminal enterprise, Combs, along with the other members and associates of the enterprise, committed crimes including sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice, the federal government added. Moreover, Combs allegedly hosted events he refers to as the freak-offs, which Pink is involved in, Usher's involved in, all these people that are starting to delete their accounts. They've all been at these parties. Jay-Z, Beyonce, I'm waiting to see how they handle everything. They were all involved in all this. There are video of them all at the parties, which involve causing women to engage in elaborate and frequent days-long sexual activity with male sex workers. Combs allegedly arranged, directed, and masturbated during and often electronically recorded his freak-offs. Freak-offs occurred regularly, sometimes lasted multiple days, and often involved multiple commercial sex workers. The indictment alleges, adding that Combs would distribute a variety of controlled substances to victims during freak-offs, in part to keep the victims obedient and compliant. Combs and the victims typically received IV fluids to recover from the physical exertion. That was nice of him. And drug use after freak-offs, the federal indictment added. Those were some nice rewards. In March, during searches of Combs' Miami and Los Angeles properties, authorities seized various freak-off supplies, which included narcotics, more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil, and lubricant. In order to ensure participation in freak-offs, Combs used violence and intimidation and leveraged his power over victims, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York alleges. Combs also threatened his victims, including by threatening to expose the embarrassing and sensitive recordings he made of freak-offs if the women did not comply with his demands, the federal government added. So, we haven't really got to see anything from the Epstein Island or really directly the people that were involved. We know the Clintons were involved. Bill was involved. We know the heads of major banks like JP Morgan and Chase and others were helping to, he had like special accounts with their banks and were, at least business-wise, were participating with him. There's so much more information to come out, and we don't have enough about all this. According to the indictment, Combs also threatened victims' careers and livelihoods if they resisted participating in freak-offs. As for Combs' charges, one count of racketeering conspiracy carries a maximum sentence of life in prison. One count of sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion carries a maximum sentence of life in prison and a mandatory minimum sentence of 15 years in prison. And one count of transportation for purposes of prostitution carries a maximum sentence of 10 years. So he's in trouble. And I'm here for it. Everything that comes out, all of these shitbag elite leftists in Hollywood and in the music industry, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Usher, Pink, all of these, however, Justin Bieber's involved in all of this. I'm here for all of it, and I want to hear what's going on with all of it. So, coming back to Dementia Joe here, because we're dealing with Comrade Kamala. We've all forgotten that this moron is still president of the United States, which is exactly what the Democrats wanted. They wanted him to step down, not run again, and then just have him very quietly continue to run and fuck the country up. So there was an event he was at here. Biden loses track of an event, yells, "Who's next?" at the press conference with the Indian Prime Minister. This just recently happened a short time ago. Biden hosted the Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Delaware. Biden became confused and lost track of events during a press conference alongside India's Prime Minister on Saturday. The incident came when Biden was supposed to introduce Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Wilmington, Delaware. He instead became confused and appeared to think he was waiting for a question from reporters. An announcer then introduces Modi following an uncomfortable pause. "I want to thank all of you for being here," Biden said. "Now, who am I introducing next?" Fucking brain-dead moron. He should have been 25th Amendmented by now and kicked out of office. He should not be allowed to finish his term. He's quite obviously unfit for the job. "Who's next?" he shouts, leading to several seconds of silence. An announcer then cuts in to introduce Modi, who approaches Biden and shakes his hand. Gunther Eagleman, who I follow, and I believe he follows me as well on X, he says, "We really don't have a president. Biden completely forgot he was at a press conference with the Prime Minister of India. The entire world is laughing at us. The guy is cooked." Here's some of the video.
Who am I introducing next?
I can yell it next. What the hell are we? They're all like, fucking idiot. Who's next? Oh, he's such a nice old guy. I don't know. He's a fucking moron. The interaction came just one day after Biden received heavy criticism for allowing First Lady Jill Biden to run a cabinet meeting on Friday. Yeah, can you believe this shit? He's so bad. Jill, the greatest doctor in all the land, the professional useless person with a degree in education. So if you're choking on a cruise, she can read you The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. But she's now sitting in on the presidential's cabinet meetings, the president's cabinet meetings, because Dementia Joe's taking a nap or more oatmeal's leaking out of his brain. Absolutely unacceptable and just disgusting that Jill, who has no clue what she's doing and no idea how to run the country, is sitting in on a cabinet meeting. Biden convened his cabinet on Friday for the first time since October 2nd, 2023, and the First Lady joined him to speak about the White House initiative on women's health research. The president explained Jill Biden's presence there, saying, "Here and across previous administrations, First Ladies have attended these meetings for specific reasons. This is the first time Jill has joined us, and it goes to show how important the issue is, which she is about to speak to." He concluded by handing off to his wife, saying, "It's all yours, kid." Do you call your wife kid? Does anyone do that? Call your girlfriend kid? And then apparently he just fucking wandered off. The New York Post reported that Jill Biden, seated at the head of the cabinet room's board table, read from a binder about maternal health initiatives for 4.5 minutes after her husband spoke for just 2 minutes off the top of the meeting. The president traditionally sits at the center of the table with the cabinet members seated in order of the founding of their departments. The last sitting First Lady to attend her husband's cabinet meeting appears to be Hillary Clinton. The amount of influence the First Lady has over Joe Biden, and therefore his administration, has been a frequent source of controversy, and numerous commentators took to social media to criticize her presence at the meeting. The New York Post said that Jill Biden is considered by insiders to be the most influential First Lady since Edith Wilson, who tightly controlled access to her husband, Woodrow Wilson. When Woodrow was dying from a stroke, he was in a wheelchair. His wife was the one signing all the presidential edicts and all of that. So that's the only other time we had a Jill Biden in office fucking with the nation. So that's interesting. Going back to Dementia Joe, I had set this. We're coming to the 50-minute mark here. I had set this because New York's having more issues of just absolute corruption, in case you're shocked by that. So Crowder just did a undercover thing where they found their New York's COVID czar, who was having huge parties and manipulating the funds he was getting for COVID for his own personal use and all of his friends so they could have like these warehouse parties and all of this shit. I go check out Crowder's, go on his show and watch him uncovering the COVID czar. That's worth seeing. In addition to that, he just did this a couple of days ago. In addition to that, there was a Chinese spy working in the administration of Kathy Hochul, and now you've got the FBI raiding the home of the New York Police Department interim commissioner a week after a similar raid caused his predecessor to resign. And apparently he's a former FBI person, and he had documents and stuff he should not have. The New York Police Department is facing more distractions following the resignation of former Commissioner Edward Cabin last week, as this new interim commissioner, Thomas Donlan, was raided by the FBI last week. On Friday, September 20th, federal authorities executed search warrants at my residence, as Donlan said in a statement late on Saturday. They took materials that came into my possession approximately 20 years ago and are unrelated to my work with the New York Police Department. This is not a department matter, and the department will not be commenting. The New York Post reported that the investigation into Donlan appears to center around whether he took classified material while he worked at the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security. So just another Democrat scumbag breaking the rules and doing whatever he feels like. So to finish up here, I've got a couple of things. So this was Nerd Rock for anyone that's looking at like the Disney controversy, where they're coming out with the gayest shows. So you had The Acolyte, which was all lesbian witches and all just like left-wing LGBTQ garbage. That absolutely tanked, and they're not making a season 2. They've shut the entire project down. But in a series of things where they either refuse to learn their lesson, or they are purposefully trying to shove all of this down the consumer's throats, you now have the Agatha All Along. And I just wanted to show a little bit of this in Nerd, for anybody that follows Nerdrotic, for some of Nerdrotic's take on this. God's sake, his fucking YouTube and these goddamn stupid fucking commercials. If you don't pay for YouTube's Red, which eliminates all of the commercials, which is like $13 a month, it's ridiculous the amount of commercials. This fucking guy, Agatha, is the gayest project, gayer than me. Look at this fucking fag from Variety. So why is this important as far as coming to the politics of everything that's going? You might ask yourself why companies like Disney, who should be family oriented, not coming out with LGBTQ crap, but why the push is so hard, and why the continued push despite all of the losses, because they end up losing millions, if not billions, on these failed projects. And I looked into this a long time ago, and I addressed it in a previous show. And a girl 7 years old is gang raped by boys age 7 and 8. It's fucking horrific. Why the fuck is 7 and 8-year-olds latest sex attack horror? Oh, in India. Starting to make a lot more sense now. 7-year-old girl has allegedly been gang raped by two boys aged 7 and 8 in the latest horrifying sex attack in India. The boys are accused of raping the young girl in the city of Balia in Uttar Pradesh on Friday, local media reports. The victim's family said the girl was having a bath when the boys lured her away to another location where they gang raped her. So she was washing herself outside because there's like no plumbing or any type of advanced society in fucking India. Police added that her family took the 7-year-old to the hospital when her health deteriorated on Saturday. She is not considered to be in life-threatening condition. Both boys were arrested and questioned, reportedly admitting to the gang rape. The horrifying rape comes after just a month after thousands of women took to the streets of India to call for measures to tackle sexual violence after a trainee doctor was savagely raped and murdered at a state-run hospital in Calcutta. So just in case anyone's been trying to convince you that India is a beautiful place, and there's great things happening there, there's something to bear in mind. Children are raping other children. Jesus fucking Christ. All right, so going back to the to this right here and the point that I was making. So it doesn't really matter to them overall how much money they're losing, because the ultimate goal is to shove the narrative down everyone's throat. So they've even said here in some of these interviews that they've said it on the Acolyte interviews, and now they've kind of mirrored it, and they've said it in the Agatha All Along interviews. They said this isn't for the old fan base or the current fan base. We are trying to reach a new, younger fan base, and this is who the shows are catering to. So if you read between the lines of the left wing propaganda and what it is they're trying to establish, is that it's the indoctrination of a younger generation of people to make everyone think you're all gay, you're all lesbian, you're all non-binary. It's all good and it's all cool. Look how much fun everybody's having on these shows, being gay, lesbian, non-binary, and etc. And this is all an indoctrination tool. And this is the reason that they're pushing so hard, even though these things fail. They spent, Nerdrotic talks about it. You should check them out. They have Friday Night Tights on Fridays, and Quarter Black Garrett from Crowder is part of Friday Night Tights now, and it's a hilarious show. They all do a great job, and they talk about I don't remember the number they lost. I know the number that it cost them to make the Acolytes was in the hundreds of millions to make the show. And it completely tanked. No one liked it. There was a very small base of lefty idiots who were trying to fight to get the show into a second season and have it continue. But everybody else was like, this is just pure left-wing indoctrination garbage. And now Agatha is doing the same thing with nothing but lesbians across the board. I mean, at one scene, and I don't know if they show it here. One scene in the show, Agatha comes out. They're interviewing the girl from Parks and Recreation here. I hear. The dude from Variety is just the guy from Variety is the gayest project that has ever happened. Listen to this guy's voice again. Listen to him. The gayest, the Marvel project, gayer than me, if you can believe that. I mean, this is the push from the left. This is a push to get this shit in here, to acting like they're they're reaching out to another generation of people that are all gay, lesbian, non-binary, and all of this shit. And really, it's more of a cultural phenomenon at this point than it is these people actually being gay or lesbian. It's just the indoctrination of it in high school and college, the indoctrination of it in friends groups. It's like you're hanging out with all your friends that are either trans or gay or whatever, and then in order to fit in, you're like, yeah, I'm bi. I mean, I'll go with whatever. So there's like this huge jump in numbers of girls who are now coming out as like either bi or lesbian, and it's all giving into the pressure of all of this crap right here. I won't play the whole thing from Nerdrotic, but they're all talking about it. And this is why it doesn't matter how much money they lose. When you see this and you go, the ridiculous amount of money that these companies are losing, and you go, how can they keep making this crap? It's ridiculous. It's because it's the narrative that they're trying to push. It's the lost money is not the end game for them. It's, can they keep shoving the message down your throat and get it out there and keep indoctrinating, keep bringing people into the cult. That's the biggest thing. All right, so that's the show for today. We're hitting the hour mark. At some point here, I am going to be breaking into the CIA files, and before they send a wet team to my door, this is declassified information at this point, which is available on the CIA's website. I've already done some of these on my show, like Project Stargate, for example. And it's not quite what you think. It isn't a team of soldiers leaving Cheyenne Mountain and going through an alien gate to other planets. But the Project Stargate was Farsight, basically. So it was bringing in a human being that had the potential to sit in like a CIA black site in a dark room and be able to concentrate and then see inside a Russian nuclear silo or Russian base and get to see who's there or hear communications of them. And this is all real. This is all projects that they worked on. When you open these up and you break all of these down, it's all communication, information, the implication of the moral treatment of the people that were involved in Project Stargate. When you open this up, this is all, see, top secret at the time. Now they have had to release all of this through one of two things: FOIA's Freedom of Information Act requests, or lawsuits and them being forced to put all of this online. But there are years upon years of classified documentation and information going in here, from the Bay of Pigs to this Project Stargate to the Iran Contra controversy. All of that is in this database, and that's something that I want to end up reincorporating into the show again. Again, if you go back into one of my previous shows, I've already gone on about Project Stargate, but this is all documentation which was previously classified. This is 23rd of May, 1994. And there are just pages upon pages of documents. And I have no problem going through it with everybody and really getting to see what the CIA is doing here. And there's a lot more. Evaluation of Project Stargate, the program plan for it, it's a breakdown of everything. And when you go back, you had the 1973 Arab-Israeli War and their documentation and relationships of where the CIA was involved in all of this. And this is all top secret information that has now been declassified, and they've essentially been forced to present this to the American public, or to the world, really, anyone that logs into the CIA's website. So eventually I'll do a show and I'll put this in there as well, and we'll start going over more of the CIA declassified files. And this is the real stuff, not my neighbor or a friend of a friend that's telling me. This is straight from the CIA's database. So we'll be getting to that as well. I've used up all the time for today. So thanks for everyone. You can reach the show at reliefvalvepodcast@aol.com. or comment on this show and let me know what some of your thoughts are. Please like, share, and subscribe. Let me grow it. I've been doing it for a year, but it's been a lot of trial and error and slowly attempting to build up a base. I went to TikTok and I got like over 1,000 people, and then that crashed and burned because they got rid of me. And then I've come back to the old fashioned way of building from the ground up, bottom out, or whatever the fuck the Democrats say to try and tell you what they're doing. So there it is. And then, maybe this week we'll get into the CIA's declassified files. All right. So I'll briefly get into the Project Stargate, and then we'll move on to some of the other ones: the 1973 Arab-Israeli War, the Bay of Pigs, Berlin Tunnel. This is all straight from the CIA's database, and this is all their interactions now declassified in their actions around the world. All right. So thanks, everyone. Please support the show, and we'll talk to you all again real soon. Thank you.